Here in Springfield, fully. Okay. All right. How's that looking? Yeah?
Oh, it's perfect for me is to make sure everyone's all comfortable, right? That's what I'm talking.
How you doing? I cannot see myself, you know.
Okay, okay, I hear you.
You don't want to
We
put
can
your
see
head
you. That's super important.
up. All right.
Cool. Are we ready? Just good to go?
Yes, I am.
I hope they don't start working recently.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you so much for being on this edition of Global Book Network. My name is Flobo, or if you speak Spanish, I say un globo con un F. So we'll be talking about your book and something super easy peasy. You're the author of the book. You're the driving force. So I promise you, there's going to be no gotcha kind of questions. The idea is to make sure people who are watching the show right now know why your hard work is important for them. So that said, if I ask a question that you don't appreciate, you have the right to not answer, and we'll strike that from the record when we actually upload the podcast to the network website. Sounds cool?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Sounds good?
Yeah, sure.
Fantastic. Do you have any questions for me professionally, personally, or anywhere in between before we get started?
I don't think so. Oh, everything's all right.
Okay, great. I'm not sure if you can see the screen, but when I hit the record button, there will be a little recording symbol. That's where we know where everything is on the record. Nothing's going to be like, just make sure you're aware of that. But yeah, you'll notice at about the 15-minute mark, I'll ask where people can... Welcome back to another exciting edition of Global Book Network. My name is Flobo Boys, and as always, this is a show where we sit those who are writing fantastic works from all different genres and from all different walks of life. For this edition, I want to talk to you a little bit about human consciousness. We're going to go in deep about that. And to do that, we have the author of the book, The Black Hole Syndrome of Human Consciousness, the critical point of analysis of the root cause to change disease into health and frustration into a successful life. Dr. Luciano A. How's it going, sir?
Hi, how you doing? Everything's all right. So I'm feeling very good. Okay, being here in this very famous show, you know. And
Well, thank you so
yes.
much for your time. Let's get right into the brass tacks of it. The Black Hole Syndrome of Human Consciousness is a startling title. And the first thing I saw when I came across that was, oh my gosh, how deep does this rabbit hole go? Talk to me about the research behind crafting this book.
All right. So this is a research that took around 10 years or perhaps a little more. You know, I visited different places around the world. So with different countries in different continents, and interviewing people and the same doing surveys, and at the same time, well, I prepared some kind of let's say some kind of headlines, you know, in order to get the way that the people were acting around the world, what was common among them, and the way that they feel the environment, the way that they understand what is family, what is for example, to eat, or eating, feeding themselves, or nourishing themselves, the way that they understand, for example, what love is, or at the same time, some kind of questions that could get from them the meaning, what they have about those things. So I compare the meaning that the people had and the stress that because of that meaning they could have. And I compare that meaning with the meaning of nature. That meaning of nature sometimes is just displayed in some kind of or revealed, manifested in some kind of ancient books like the Bible, like Ifa, like the Las Vedas, you know. And I try to see, first of all, what is the kind of contradiction that could exist between those old way of thinking and the way of the people is thinking about that right now in this moment. And the way that this kind of contradiction between those meanings, I mean, for me, the meaning of nature and the meaning of a people given to those signals coming from environment, and the way that that could put some pressure on them, some kind of stress that they couldn't get rid of, and at the same time, they felt like trapped in some kind of, cycle that never ends.
Yeah.
So at the end, I put all those things with some kind of scientific evidence about what brain is, what mind is, what consciousness is, and the way that quantum physics is providing some kind of epistemology in order to understand that the way that nature is working different from the kind of that conventional form coming from the classic physics, and providing some people, what is the way that now the new physics, I mean quantum physics, is explaining that world that they cannot see. And at the same time, how the molecular central dogma that we have right now in biology, and at the same time in medicine, is not the one that is giving a clear picture about what we are, about what the physical world is, and how that kind of approach is affecting the way that the people is living and the way that they are understanding their lives.
Yeah.
So at the end, I saw that according to quantum physics, I saw that we live in an open system, with the environment. The environment, as such, is something that we need. We cannot live without air. We cannot live without the sun or the light, sunlight. We cannot live without food. We cannot live without water. And at the end, the most important thing is that there is always an exchange between us and that kind of information that is coming from nature that is keeping us alive constantly. And if you don't know how that environment is working, how nature is working in order to keep us alive, so we are going to be in contradiction against the nature. So we are going to put some resistance to that information that is coming from the nature and it's keeping you alive. So that kind of resistance is the one that is going to, let's say, curve our time and space. And in that way, that kind of resistance at that kind of curve is going to create in our life something that we call a black hole. That black hole, what we have we have a reference of a black hole at the macro dimension, all right? But the fact is, according to some scientific evidence right now that we have from some kind of scientists like, let's say, Leonard Susskind, Nassim Haramein, Okay, so we can form a black hole in a simple atom of our body, and we are made of atoms, like
Right.
everything in nature, and we are exchanging, that kind of atoms, okay, with their nature constantly. So the most important thing is that the way of thinking of the people, the meaning of the intention of nature, when nature is keeping us alive, there is a meaning in that. There is a purpose in that, because nature is made of forms, and those forms are topologically essences, you know. So
Right.
topologically speaking, okay, they are essences. Those essences are the ones that takes the energy, and when they take the energy, they take identity in the energy. We can identify objects between quotations. All right, we can identify objects because of the forms. So when those forms take energy, when those forms take the matter, in that moment they are in putting themselves in within, and that is information. So
Mm.
everything within the universe is information. We are information, and that information, okay, is the one that is keeping you alive. That information has a meaning, has an intention. Every time that takes energy, every time that takes uh, uh, the matter, is going to create what we see, what we call the physical world.
Right.
So if you are against that intention, if you have a meaning against that meaning of an intention of the world, of the environment, so you are going to be creating resistance, and that resistance is going to break the what we call the gravitational mechanism. Once that gravitational mechanism uh, in your body, in your atoms, in your molecules are already broken, so something is going to happen. You are
Mm.
forming a black hole. And that expression of a black hole is what we call getting old, getting sick.
Yeah.
Uh, it's when the cell is suffering something that we call uh, penosis, for example, penolysis or penolysis, and when the cell is suffering karyoresis, so that is when they have a rupture of the nucleus of a cell and then dissolve the DNA within the cytosol, and that cell suffer necrosis, suffer apoptosis. That is the end of a cell,
Yeah.
and that is
Yeah.
the end of an organ, or perhaps the end of the person
Yeah.
in
You
general.
cover a lot of grounds in the book, and I appreciate you going and explaining some of the top level things here because it can be a whole different way of looking at the world, going from page, from chapter to chapter. So the question I was having in advance of this interview was, how exactly did you optimize the layout of the book and the topics and order of the topics discussed to make sure that people can easily follow along for someone who is well researched in the subject as yourself?
Well, I try to explain the first of all the things that I know that the people don't try to have access to those things. I mean, information. All right, because we're talking about things that the people don't know. They don't know that your mind is not the brain. They don't know that we are made of a kind of material that is some kind of tiny quantities of energy. Some of them, they think that we are energy, but they believe in matter too. But the fact is that matter in general is just a name that we give to that collection of those tiny of quantities of energy. So according to Einstein, energy was energy has the property, okay, of turning into matter, all right, but turning into mass,
Right.
according to that famous equation of Albert Einstein. E equals m times c squared. So we're talking about the energy cannot be destroyed. Energy cannot be created, just transformed into matter. But when we call matter, is just energy, it's mass. All right. So mass is energy, energy at rest. But when we are talking about energy that is keeping us alive, is energy not at rest, energy that is in movement. So it's moving. We are talking about something very important because our thoughts are energy.
Yeah.
The way that you are thinking is energy. When you are thinking in a wrong way, you are creating a kind of energy of low frequency, and you are creating mass. You are creating resistance. And when you are creating resistance, when you are creating that kind of mass, you are uh, you are curving the time space, your time space, and at the same time you are creating what we call the black hole. So that is a way that I try to optimize that information uh,
Yeah.
by chapters, explaining little by little what we have been taught up to now and what is new for them and
Mm.
how we can uh, outcome, all right, and at the same time to simply to defeat that kind of resistance that we have in our life. How we can change our life, just changing the way of thinking, just changing those point of critical of analysis that is our meanings. Because everything that you do is because you believe it. And the meanings of that is what you believe. For example, if you think that the meaning of hunger is to eat something, that you satisfy the hunger just eating, you can eat something that is not nutritional. That goes against the meaning of nature. That is telling you that the cells is asking for not for any other thing. So
Mm.
when you are eating something that is non nutritional, you are creating imbalances. You are creating disorder, entropy. That is disorder, chaos. So and that kind of resistance that you are creating is breaking the balance that is coming from that part of nature, from that kind of dimension, the dimension of information, the non-local dimension, the dimension of the forms, the dimension of the morphogenetic field. Morpho that means form. Genetic comes from Genesis, that is origin. The origin of any kind of formation here in what we call the physical world is there. that is proved scientifically right now. It's a fact that there is an information and there is a non-local dimension. That non-local dimension is part of what we call the holistic or the wholeness or the holistic world that we are living. The wholeness is what we call consciousness. And consciousness is not what we call an epiphenomenon of the matter. Matter cannot create something that is no matter. So a molecule acting on another molecule using a force is going to create another molecule. And so matter, acting on matter, the result is matter, but not immaterial things. And consciousness is behind everything. Consciousness is the one that is giving us the life that we are living now. So consciousness through information is informing constantly, trying to see what is the intention of consciousness, what is the meaning of consciousness, is what we call our responsibility in order to change our life. Because if we don't try to learn what is the way that that consciousness is trying to keep us alive, so we are taking the risk to be against it, against consciousness, against the purpose of life. And if you are against the purpose of life, you are losing that life. You are blocking that life.
Yeah. So we were talking about a minute ago. What does elevated consciousness look like? Does someone who have those traits exude those traits? Is it something that can be learned or discovered? Is it nature? Is it nurture? What does that look like day to day?
Well, we cannot define consciousness because, we are within consciousness. All right? So consciousness is beyond, is beyond any local dimension. For example, we have learned from neuroscience that consciousness is just the neurons firing in the brain. All right, and the neuron firing in the brains is creating consciousness. But I was talking about earlier that consciousness cannot is immaterial. We cannot see consciousness. But everything that we do is because an experience in consciousness. If you are not conscious, you cannot have that experience. So, for example, if you go to a funeral, okay, there you see a dead body in a coffin. All right, so it has brain, it has eyes, but he cannot he cannot he cannot talk, he cannot see. Why not? We say because there is no consciousness. So the person is not conscious. Now, for example, this bottle of water, all right, we can observe it. You can observe anything within the place where you are. You can see it physically with your open eyes. But if you close your eyes, you can see it again.
Yeah.
So it means that the source of observation is beyond the dimension of mind and the dimension of a physical world. That is consciousness. So consciousness is not an epiphenomenon. But another thing, the what we call energy, we say that energy cannot be created, and at the same time, energy cannot be destroyed. All right. So it means that the source of energy has to be uncreated.
Right.
All
Right.
right. But we were talking about that everything is within consciousness. That is something that we have to highlight, all right? Because everything within consciousness is the one that is allowing you to have some kind of experience. So, but in what way everything exists within consciousness? In a wave of possibilities. And they are in a superposition. According to quantum physics, everything is a wave of possibility. And all those things, we are wave of possibility, or those possibilities are infinite. But when you observe it, in the time that you observe it, you bring one of those possibilities into manifestation. Only one. An example of that, we have it when we are thinking. We can have infinite thoughts. But when you are thinking, at the moment that you are going to express your thoughts, when you are thinking, you cannot have two thoughts at the same time, just one. Even
Yeah.
when you are even when you are describing something, when you are describing something, any kind of description is not because there is something that we call a physical property, a sign independent of consciousness. Because an atom, that we are made of that, and everything is made of atoms, all right? But nobody have seen an atom. An
Hmm.
atom is just a description of an equation, a mathematical equation. So it means that everything that exists is what we call a wave of possibility, and exist as an essence, as a form. So when we are talking about wave of possibilities, we are talking about what we call the forms, and those forms are the ones that is creating what we call the physical world. Because those forms, which are essences, the essence, you cannot see the essence, but the essence cannot be destroyed. And the essence take identity in the energy. For example, that's why we have different forms of energy: mechanical energy, electromagnetic energy. So it means chemical energy. So it means that the forms are informing, putting within. So that putting themselves within. That is what we call the definition of information. That is to put forms in or within. So who is putting those forms? It's not the matter, because the matter is a manifestation of energy. So there is something beyond the matter, beyond energy, beyond electromagnetism, beyond everything that we know. That is what we call forms.
Hmm.
They are given in wave of possibilities, but they have meanings. They have intention when they take the matter, when they take the energy. They have intention. On those forms, they have proportion to. Because, for example, all the atoms are the same. An atom of hydrogen, okay, is the same as oxygen atom. But the hydrogen has only one electron. Oxygen has 8. So the proportion, the ratio, is the one that makes the difference. So it is important to know that meaning, intention, and ratio they are all characteristics. They are all features, okay, of the information. And the information takes the energy, but energy cannot be created. So it means that that energy is part of information. But in order to learn something, in order to have an experience, you're supposed to be conscious. You're supposed to be aware. If you are not aware, you don't have any kind of experience. So awareness is important too. And energy is a manifestation of that awareness. Energy is the kinesis, the action potential of that awareness. So if energy cannot be created and energy is conserved, awareness is conserved too.
Mm.
So it means that whatever you learn, and if that learning of that kind of meaning is wrong, you are going to conserve that in your brain. Because the brain is another possibility of consciousness, but it's this, the physical support, between quotations,
Yeah.
of what? Of mind. Mind is the process of consciousness giving meanings. You use your mind in order to give meanings. The brain is going to process that meaning using symbols because the brain is your computer. And whatever is the meaning that you have given, that meaning as such is going to be repeated over and over. And when you do that, you're going to create some kind of neural circuits. And those neural circuits later are the ones that is turned into your habits. And 90% of the day, those neural circuits are going to be responding to the signals from nature, from the environment, from 316 400 milliseconds up to 6 seconds before you are aware of that signal. So it means that whatever you have learned in your life, whatever is the meaning of the things that you see or the signals that is surrounding you, that meaning is going to be completely coded
Mhm.
within your brain. Okay, so it that is the way that you act. That is the way that you learn how to drive, how to eat, how to take a shower. Now you don't have to teach your brain how to do those things. The brain does it by itself. That is a kind of awareness that we call, in this case, not intentional awareness. The awareness of your brain. But the awareness of your mind is an intentional awareness. It's the one that we use in order to give the meaning. Once you have given the meaning goes uh, uh, to the brain processes, and at the same time, it going to be there, stored. It's stored there, over there. So,
Right.
so that is the pool of knowledge, okay, that the brain is going to use constantly in order to be giving responses to the different signals of environment. If
Yeah.
you have created a pool of knowledge, experiences, which have run according to the meaning of the universe, you are going to be creating what? Resistance. You are going to
Yeah.
be creating that mass, because the mass is the one that shows resistance to acceleration. So The most important thing is that you are creating that inertia, and that inertia is the one that is manifesting in your body as something that is getting old, something that is destroying itself. So your way of thinking is shaping your way of life.
Right. Hey, for most people, I plan on living forever. Nah, Doctor, I appreciate the time today just to learn more about your life's work and why it's important for those to read your book. But here's the fun part. If someone's listening right now today to Global Book Network, how can they contact you? How can they purchase their own copy of your work?
Okay, well, you can find the copy of the book in Amazon, in the platform of Amazon, and we have also this book in Books and Books. We have it in uh, Noble. What is it? No, Novels and I don't remember the name of Barnes and Nobles.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
Barnes and
sure.
Nobles. You can find it over there, and you can, if you have any kind of doubt about whatever you have read in the book, okay, and you would like to know more about the book, you can you can find me or you can email me. You can email me using ifaengasio at
Yeah.
or gmail.com.
The black hole syndrome of human consciousness, the critical point of analysis of the root cause that changes disease into health and frustration to a successful life, is available now, as the doctor said, over there at Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Make sure you pick up a copy today. I want to thank you so much for being on this edition of Global Book Network. Thanks.
Thank you.